Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is That Side Character, Chapter 5. This one is titled Nurse Kenma. Where? The nurse asked with a very uncaring look on her face. Here, he said, turning your arm over to show the nurse while you looked away with a sullen look on your face. How'd this happen? Doing something silly again, Yin? I told you I wouldn't treat any ridiculous injuries that you sustained from being stupid, she said bluntly. I'm fine, you said in an obviously hurt voice. Kenma, adhering the tone in your voice, glanced at your side profile from behind his curtain fringe, then to the nurse. Feeling the heat of embarrassment rising inside you, you yanked your arm away from his grip and took off running, leaving him standing there with the nurse. The nurse huffed her displeasure and shook her head and then closed the screen door on Kenma, leaving him standing there peering out at you from under the safety of his hair as you ran away. She doesn't like being ridiculed, he thought to himself as he started slowly after you. You kept your head down as you ran and made a straight line, as possible, to the classroom, to your desk, and then sat down. But unfortunately, the teacher was already in the classroom and she called your name as your back seat hit the seat. You cringed and hesitantly looked up at her. Late again, Yin, I see. See me after class, she said, looking down her nose at you. You slumped into your seat and exhaled sharply out of your nose as you looked to your left, to the closest window. Why is everyone out to get me? You thought dejectedly, a hot tear trickling from the corner of your eye, but you wiped it before anyone noticed. As you kept looking out the window, you saw movement at the back of the room and turned your head back to see Kenma silently slip in and take his seat. The teacher said nothing. Either she didn't see him, or she did and chose not to say anything. You sighed again, and then turned back to stare down at the book in front of you at your desk. It was hard focusing in class that day. You were upset. It wasn't easy being you sometimes. After school that day, you grabbed your bag from your locker and headed for the front gates. Suddenly there was someone beside you, and you looked, then did a double take and looked again. It was Kenma, on his PSP. Oh, you said when you recognized him. Hi, Kenma. He didn't say anything, but the vibe just felt comfortable, so you didn't feel like it needed a reply. Silently you walked together, lost in your own worlds. How's your arm? Kenma asked after the longest time. His game was loading, so he had a chance to talk while he waited for it. It's fine, for the 20th time. It's the only answer I'll ever give you if you ask about my arm, you replied, semi-grumpily. You were a little annoyed at him insisting that you go to the nurse when you knew she was going to be a bitch about you turning up there. Why doesn't the nurse like you? He asked. I don't know, she's an ugly old hag with no husband. She takes pleasure in making me feel like an ant that she can squish and humiliate, and yeah. You looked over at him, but his game had loaded by then, and he was staring intently at the screen while his fingers worked the buttons nimbly. You sighed and looked up ahead, spotting a bright red bird sitting in the tree by the side of the path. Oh, you cooed happily. A bird. It's pretty. As you got closer to the bird, you dropped your bag down and promptly lay on the pavement. Your sudden disappearance from beside Kenma made him stop and look to see where you had gone, looking around first before looking down by his feet to where you had laid down. Next minute you let out the loudest, weirdest bird-like screech, and his form prickled with sudden surprise and fear. The red bird tilted its head to the side so it could see you better, and flew down onto the wall nearby to get a better look at this creature that was lying on the ground making weird noises. You giggled and made the noise again. Kenma stood dead still, his eyes flicking from you to the bird, and then back to you. It's pretty, you said again. Isn't it, Kenma? See, look, the feathers around its eyes are slightly redder, in a lighter red, like it has glasses on, but without the part across the nose. He looked at the bird and then nodded. Yeah, he said softly, but although he spoke softly, it must have been enough to frighten the bird, and it flew away, much to your dismay. Aw, bye, birdie, you called to the bird as you got up and grabbed your bag, and then kept walking like nothing had happened. Kenma turned and followed you, going back to playing his game. Your mind had been consumed by the bird now, and you walked on ahead, feeling a little happier. Hey, Kenma called to you, and you stopped with surprise when you heard his voice behind you. Yeah? You asked, turning around. My mum has bandages, he said, pointing to his house that you had just passed. Kenma, I said I'm fine, you said stiffly. Just come here, he said, his feline irises staring you down. Ugh, you groaned, looking up at the sky while dropping your shoulders. Fine, you moaned, dragging your feet back to him. He unlocked his front door and walked in with you behind him. While he was walking purposefully to the kitchen to get the first aid box, you snooped and scooped everything out in the hallway. Is this you as a baby? You squealed with delight, looking at a photo of him on the side table in the hall. He ran back and grabbed the vintage picture and then slammed it face first on the table. What? You whined with a smile. It's cute. Your hair was so short. He didn't say anything, just took your wrist and dragged you to the kitchen and made you sit on the stool there so he could fix your arm. Why are you even doing this? You asked him as he pulled things out to bandage your arm. Because that nurse should have done it, but she was mean instead, he replied. Well, not a lot of people like me, but whatever, you replied honestly. I've been told I talk too much, I'm irresponsible, I don't pay attention, I'm annoying, I don't know when to leave. What else? You paused with hands raised, fingers curled over, listing things that people had said to you over the years. Yeah, poor Yin. Kind of feel for her. I know she is a little bit annoying, but I still feel for her. Okay, chapter 6 coming tomorrow. See you then.